Let's talk about arteries and veins. Arteries and veins. And I'm going to show you where everything starts. This is your sternum. This is your sternum. It has three sections. The manubrium. Well, it got rid of all three sections. It was manubrium, the body, and the little bitty part at the bottom was the xiphoid process. And let's get rid of this clavicle. Layman's term is collarbone. Now we can see this organ right here where all the arteries and veins start or end. That's your heart. That is your heart. So remember, arteries, which are labeled in red on this app, and veins, which are labeled in blue. Arteries are red because blood from the heart, which is very fresh and oxygenated, it's going to send blood to the head, the trunk, the arms, the legs, everywhere. It will send the blood to the tissues. Blood gets used and then it comes back through the veins, through a whole different system, very different system. And those are depicted in blue here. What I want you to do is just look at what we got here. These are the arteries and veins. For the most part, I know it's not exact, for the most part, if you see an artery, you might see a vein close, close. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but a lot of times where you see an artery, you'll see a vein. So they're almost travel partners. I can see some exceptions here off to the left here where I have my cursor. I see this vein here. I don't see many arteries there. Same thing on the right. Vein, but I don't see much artery. Up here going to the brain, similar. I see this external jugular vein. Let's highlight it. Yep. By himself. And then the right external jugular vein by himself. But for the most part, you see an artery, you see a vein, even with the head here. Yeah. Here they're in the head, they're very paired, almost perfectly paired in the skull, artery and vein. So let's start there at the top. Well, let's start at the heart. Let's start at the heart. And let me get situated better. Be large a little bit. There we go. There's our heart. What I want you to see is this arch coming off. That's, it's red. Red's coming off of it. So it's an arterial supply. And that's your aorta. That big thing is the aorta. And coming off that, we have the ABCs. So the aorta is A. B is brachiocephalic trunk, which is this little part here. C is common carotid, but for the left side of the head. And S is subclavian artery. Those are all arteries, and that's the ABCs. Let's follow, let's follow some ABCs. Aorta, B, brachiocephalic. It starts here and then it splits the carotid. That's an artery. So arteries have very high pressure because they have to go against gravity. They go real far. So very high pressure. And that's where your blood pressure comes from. And that's your common carotid going up to the head. And then the brachial part means arm. But just to confuse you a little bit, this little section right here is the subclavian section of the same artery. And then it's called from here to here axillary artery, just to confuse you. It's the same structure. And then it changes names right here into the brachial artery. And brachial means arm. So all of this is brachial artery. Keep following him until we get to this split right here. That split right there. This one goes medially to become the ulnar artery. This one keeps going lateral to be the radial artery, just like the bones of the forearm, radial and ulna. I know you see other arteries there too, but these are the major ones. And then as we get to it's the same ones, ulnar there, radial there. The radial, it's going to go to the back part of the thumb there. They also have branches that go to the palmar area. That's the arm in a nutshell. Let's follow this up to here. And we mentioned common carotid because it's going to split between external and internal carotid, which let's get closer up. There we go. Now we can see it, and now I can highlight it better. So there's your external carotid. And we mentioned the jugular's external and internal jugular. The left side of the arm is similar to the right side. Once you get past this level, then the left arm is similar to the right. The vein naming is different. The vein naming is different. The veins are going to come into the heart from the superior vena cava, which, there we go. Superior vena cava is going to come into the heart with blood that's used up. And then from the bottom, used up blood from the legs and the abdominal region, the inferior vena cava. Remember that aorta, that the artery that came off right here? It's going to switch directions and come down into the thoracic and abdominal aorta. Still the aorta, just different names based on where it's located. Then it's going to come to L3, L4 area, and it's going to split into the common iliac artery left. And if there's a left, you must have a right. Mm-hmm. And it comes down and it changes names right here into the femoral artery, right and left femoral artery. There are some deep branches I'm not going to go over right now, but the femoral artery comes down the inner part of your leg. And then it goes posteriorly. Goes posteriorly and it changes names to the popliteal artery. Still the same artery that went down the inner part of your upper leg. It's going to split to posterior tibial, which means the shin bone, and anterior tibial, with the fibular branch as well. Yep, fibular artery. Here you will see arteries and veins traveling very closely together. And those will go down to the foot, which we will learn later.